I've showed you how to make indoors, and now I'm gonna tell you which ones you should buy. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you the top 10 indoor and turf shoes available right now. If you guys do end up enjoying the video and want to see more top 5 and top 10 videos on the channel, don't forget to support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. Now, when I first decided I was going to make this video, it was initially going to be a top 5 list, not a top 10. But once I started thinking about it and writing down what I thought were the best indoor and turf options out there, I realized there was way more than just 5. So I extended the list to 10, which I wouldn't normally do, but there are legitimately that many good options out there. Please keep in mind that all of these picks are available in both indoor as well as turf variations. So you have some options depending on what surface you're going to be using them on. Also, all of these picks are based on my own personal experience with these particular indoor and turf shoes because I've actually tried them. There are lots and lots of indoor and turf models out there that I have not tried simply because I can't get to absolutely everything. There just isn't enough time. So if there is something that I left off this list that you have and think is very good, that does not make it bad. It doesn't mean that I think it's bad. It just means that I haven't tried it, so it isn't in my personal top 10, which is also why this list is very Nike and Adidas dominant, because that's mostly what I've tried, given that it is the most popular in this part of the world. And all the shoes that I did pick, I do think are legitimately very good for different reasons. I factored in quality, I factored in price, I factored in the features, and basically what each individual shoe has on offer. I'll tell you why I think it's good and why it does belong on this top 10 list. Also, this top 10 list is in no particular order, so with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. The Nike Lunar Legend X 7 Pro 10R edition. This guy retails for $105. I think when you're talking about value for money from a good quality leather indoor shoe, this should be near the top of your list. Now, this is inspired by Ronaldinho's second signature model. I think it looks absolutely incredible. Out of everything on this list, this is my favorite aesthetically, but the quality is really good. You get this quilted calfskin leather upper that's super soft and breaks in really, really nicely. It's available in both an indoor as well as a turf variation. Features Nike Lunar Lawn cushioning system, which is really good as well. It's very comfortable. It's got the same general shape as the rest of the Tiempo line, just with slightly different styling for this 10R variation. And while this is a good deal at $105, and I do prefer it over the other options within the Tiempo line right now, if you want to save a little bit of money and want something that's more along the lines of the regular Nike Tiempo Legend 7, you can save $10 for $95 and get the non-10R variation of this shoe. Whichever one you go for, it's a really, really solid indoor. An honorable mention that does tie into pick number 1 is the Nike TiempoX Proximo 2, which is basically the Legend 7 upper with the same indoor bottom lunar lawn cushioning setup, available in indoor or turf. So this has kangaroo leather, the internal support cage, fly wire cables, fly knit tongue, fly knit at the back, ACC all condition control, the same heel liner as the top end Legend 7 as well, but it retails for $175, so $80 to $70 more than the model below. And I will say at the model below, while inferior in regards to overall quality, the difference isn't overly significant, especially once broken in. So this is definitely the best of the best as far as Tiempo indoors are concerned, but are they worth the extra money? That's something you kind of have to determine for yourself. I would personally pick these, but at the same time, I really think that the slightly cheaper one is just a much better value, and it's 95% as good as what you're getting for a lot more money. The Nike Mercurial Vapor 12 Pro indoors, also available in a turf variation with a retail price of $110. Now, this is gonna get you the same outsole setup as what you're gonna find on the more expensive Elite variation that retails for $175 rather than $110. It's also the only shoe from Nike right now to feature their new Hyper Screen upper, which I'm not sure if we're ever gonna see this on an outdoor model or if it will be exclusive to this particular indoor shoe, but it's a mesh-based material with this printed on kind of plastic layer on the surface that makes for a little bit of extra grip on the ball, but the material as a whole is extremely soft, very, very sock-like and just extremely comfortable, while also giving you that thin barefoot sensation that you would want from anything branded as a Mercurial Vapor. So for $110, I think it looks good, I think it feels good, it's very, very comfortable, and honestly, it's a really, really good option, the best value for money option within the indoor Mercurial line. The Adidas Copa 18.1 Indoor and Turf retail price on these guys is pretty steep at $160, but I do think that you're getting your money's worth as far as having a kangaroo leather upper that's pretty much identical to what you'll find on the top end Copa 18.1 firm ground cleat, which retails for $200. So these are technically a little bit cheaper, and it does feature a pretty premium outsole. The indoor variation has this smooth bottom that offers pretty good traction on an indoor court and very good traction in a street soccer type environment, also fairly durable, and of course it features full length boost cushioning, something you will not find from any other Adidas indoor model right now. If you opt for the turf variation of the shoe, obviously it's going to have a turf outsole. It's slightly lower profile as far as the midsole is concerned, and it does still have a boost insert in the heel for that extra bit of cushioning. So a little bit different depending on whether you go for the indoor or turf variation, but both really, really good. And if you're a fan of the Copa 18.1s, if you have the extra money, for 160 bucks, these are really, really good. The Nike MagistaX Proximo 2. Now this is essentially just an indoor variation of the Magista Obra 2 firm ground cleat. These guys retailing for $175, which is not cheap, but considering that the regular Magista Obra 2 retails for $275 now, it used to be $300, this is actually not that bad of a price. You get the exact same Flyknit upper with the 3D texturing, the mid-cut collar. It's a really, really nice feel, especially once broken in. And whether you go for the indoor or turf variation, this being the indoor version, of course, you get the full-length Lunar lawn cushioning, which feels really, really good underfoot. So overall, I know the Magista Obra 2 has been around for a long time, but if you have those as your cleats and you want something for indoor or turf use that's gonna have pretty much the exact same fit and feel, you cannot go wrong with these. The Adidas Mundial Team, which is the turf variation of the shoe that I have right here, they also make it in an indoor variation that's called either the Copa Indoor or the Mundial Gold, depending on where you look. Adidas changed the name at some point for whatever reason, so websites have it listed pretty much both ways, so just be aware of that. Either way, whether you go indoor or turf, these guys retail for only $95, which is shocking considering that this is a full kangaroo leather upper. The leather at the front, the midfoot, the heel, the tongue, it's all some of the best quality leather you're gonna find on any shoe right now, and that's essentially because this is the upper of the Copa Mundial for significantly less than what the Copa Mundial costs, which is kind of surprising. Now I think the cost difference is because these aren't made in Germany like the Copa Mundials are, but the quality is pretty much just as good. For 95 bucks, if you're a fan of old school Copas with that soft leather feel, a shoe that will literally stretch to anybody's foot shape, this is definitely what you want. Now, because it is kind of an older style shoe, there are some downsides when you compare it to some of the more modern indoor and turf shoes, and they're certainly gonna be a lot heavier. These are by no means light. They actually do have a little bit of a weighted feel on feet, which personally I do not mind, but everybody has their own preference in that regard. Also for the turf version especially, the heel does sit a little bit higher than normal, which some people don't like. Again, it's not something that really bothers me. The turf outsole is great. The indoor layout also works really good as far as traction is concerned, and it does normally have a fold over flap tongue, just be aware of that. I've trimmed mine off because that is my personal preference. I'd rather it not be there. But out of all the indoor and turf shoes on this list, especially when it comes to turf models, this is kind of my go-to turf shoe and has been for the last several years. Super comfortable, really nothing to break in. It's just a matter of letting the leather stretch to your foot, and then once that's done, they feel like soft slippers on your feet. Not for everybody, but if you're a fan of this style shoe for $95, this is probably the top option on this list. The Nike HypervenomX Proximo 2, essentially the indoor or turf variation of the Nike Hypervenom Phantom 3DF Elites. Those retail for $275. These guys are gonna run you $175. So for $100 less, you're getting the exact same Flyknit upper with the mid-cut collar, this only being available with the mid-cut collar. They don't make it in a low like they do the Phantom 3 cleats, which is a bit of a shame. I would have loved to see that an option, but you can't get everything that you want. It still has the fly wire cables. It still has the texturing on the surface of the upper as as well, ACC all conditions control. If you're a fan of the Hypervenom Phantom 3s, this is exactly that upper. As far as the midsole is concerned, it's a Phylon midsole whether you go indoor or turf. Of course, this has the turf bottom, and then it also does have the Zoom air cushioning unit in the heel, which, if I'm being completely honest, isn't super noticeable when you're actually wearing these. A little bit more noticeable once you break it in, but overall, fairly low profile, decent underfoot cushioning, and really the appeal here is that it does have the Phantom 3 Flyknit upper. So if you're a fan of that boot, you're gonna be a fan of these indoors. The Puma 365 EvoKnit Net Fit Indoors, also available in a turf variation, this being the indoor version, of course, with a retail price of $130. Now, unlike most of the other boots on this list, this is not based off of an actual firm ground shoe on offer from the Puma brand. This is specific to this particular model. So what you're gonna find is an EvoKnit base, essentially their variation of Nike's Flyknit or Adidas's PrimeKnit. It feels very soft, very sock-like, pretty much no break-in time at all. It features a mid-cut collar, something that you won't see from any of Puma's cleats at the moment, which is kind of interesting in itself, and it feels very comfortable. It has a more traditional low-cut construction in the heel, so no chafing or discomfort at the back portion of the shoe. And then, of course, their net fit system, which at the moment is a signature of the Puma Future model. You're getting it on this particular shoe for significantly less than what the Puma Future 18.1 is going to run you, and it still works pretty much exactly the same way. You can adjust the lacing system however you want to kind of customize the fit, lockdown, and overall responsiveness of the shoe. It's essentially a sock that it feels really secure on your feet once you have them laced up properly. It's got a relatively low profile outsole, probably the lowest profile of all the shoes on this particular list. So if you like that close to the ground feel, that is exactly what these are going to provide. And the indoor bottom is also very good in regards to traction, also durable in a street soccer type environment. And of course, if you need the turf version, they make that an option as well. For $130, if you're looking to try something different, this should be something you should strongly consider. The Nike Mercurial SuperflyX 6 Elite. These guys retail for $175, which is $100 less than the Superfly 6 Elite cleats would run you. And unlike the cleats, which are available, of course, in a Vapor variation as well, which is basically the exact same shoe in a low-cut form factor, if you go for the indoor variation, you have to get the collar. It's only available as the Superfly variant. And essentially it is the Superfly upper with some slight modifications in regards to the Nike skin covering on the surface, and of course the placement of the swoosh, which I would argue is significantly better. This looks a lot better than the small swoosh here at the toe. Overall, it's the same Flyknit base. It even does include ACC all conditions control if that's an important feature to you. All entirely made out of Flyknit with the one-piece upper, dual lace hole system running up the middle, the DF collar as well, which is slightly shorter for this new generation of Superfly. Very comfortable, very soft, very sock-like sensation on your feet. And of course, it has the Phylon midsole and indoor or turf outsole, depending on what you go for. They're very, very lightweight, super, super comfortable. And again, if you're wearing the Superfly 6 Elite cleats and you want something that feels exactly the same or as close as possible to that shoe in an indoor or turf variation, this is exactly what you want. The Adidas Samba Classic Indoors. Now, these have been around forever and they are only available as an indoor shoe. They don't make a turf variation at all. And the traction you get on an indoor court is really, really good. I'd say one of the better options on this list. And when it comes to using these in a street soccer type environment, not only is the traction great, but the durability is also phenomenal. These are built to last. Features a good quality leather upper, the suede at the toe to protect the high wear areas, the foam tongue, which I actually really, really like. It does feature this extended flap piece, which I personally think is a little bit unnecessary. It looks cool. When I'm actually playing in Samba Classics, personally, I cut this top piece off just so there's no flap to get rid of that extra bulk. That's totally a matter of personal preference. It's got a nice padded lining material. It's very, very comfortable. It's relatively low profile. They're not super light, and it does have that old school vibe about it in general in regards to being a leather shoe with kind of more traditional styling. This is by no means a new model, but I think for most people, this is a shoe that you'll very easily be able to get used to, and once broken in, they're just extremely comfortable and made to last. Also, they retail for only $70. This is the cheapest shoe on this list, and they are an extremely good value. Yes, the retail is $70, but you can regularly find these on sale for around $50. If you live anywhere near an Adidas outlet, which most people do, head over there and guess what? They'll have Samba Classics likely for under $70. in terms of value for money, these are pretty much impossible to beat when it comes to indoors. They're also available in either black, like I have right here, or white, which is basically just a reverse of this, white upper with the black stripes. Both look really, really good. And as far as wearing indoor shoes casually, I know a lot of people like to do that. This is pretty much the only one, in my opinion, that you can actually get away with wearing casually without looking strange, just because it has that classic Adidas styling. So overall, Samba classic, super underrated, super good value for money, and truly one of the best indoors currently available. The Nike HypervenomX Finale 2 Indoor, also available as a turf, which retails for $95 to $105 depending on the colorway, making this once again an excellent value for money option, arguably just as good, if not better, depending on what your personal preference is, than the Proximo 2, which retails for $175 rather than $95. You're getting the Nike skin upper from the first takedown model in the Hypervenom lineup, which is the Hypervenom Fatal 3, but in a low-cut form factor with a slightly different variation to it. So the Nike skin is soft. Obviously, it's a mesh-based synthetic. It softens up significantly after a little bit of wear time. Features the Flywire cable lacing system that really does a good job of locking the midfoot and forefoot in place, making this very responsive despite being so soft on your feet. And then it features kind of a one-piece construction where the center part is filled in with this kind of elasticated foam material that extends into the collar and liner of the shoe. And of course, it's a low cut rather than a mid, which personally I prefer the feel and look of. Very, very comfortable pretty much from the get-go. And it features the exact same midsole and outsole setup as what you'll find on the more expensive Proximo model, which retails for $175. So you get the Phylon midsole, the Zoom Air cushioning, and either the indoor or turf bottom, depending on which version you go for. So for $95, and you can regularly find these on sale as well, this is an excellent indoor or turf option. And that concludes my top 10 list of what I think are the best indoor and turf shoes currently available. If you're looking for more info on anything that I talked about in this video, there are video reviews for pretty much everything. So if you're looking for more info, do a quick little YouTube search on my channel, and the video you're looking for should pop up immediately. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And as always, if you have any questions at all regarding any of the shoes that I talked about in this video, feel free to leave your questions down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.